Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Devon. What'd you do?
Nothing. It's COVID. I stayed inside the whole time. I went to help a friend study, but that's really about it. It's weird seeing the back and forth. It's like two worlds. Like it's a world of people that are like, hey, it's like watching two different movies. The wildest party movie you've ever seen, and then like just a dead movie where everybody's just like inside the house. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is right now.
I stayed low key too, but I know a lot of rappers that I know who watch this show. Oh, they was out. They was out, and they were really, really out. Being like, why you ain't come? It's too much.
I mean, I will say this. I hope people don't get too mad at each other and place all of their anger fully where it belongs on the people we voted for. That's just pretty much it. Like, that's just it. You voted for people. You want them to look out for your interests. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what you voted for. Your interests aren't completely being looked out for. There is a group that I feel like is leaning more towards your interests, but please put pressure on that group to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to get done in this next year. And let's hope 2021 fares out much better than 2020.
2020, yeah. I know. Speaking of 2020, look at your boy. 2021, your boy Harden.
I'm going to go ahead and do a full retraction as I normally do. Full retraction as I normally do with James Harden. We have a love-hate relationship, and I have both those feelings of love and hate. He doesn't know me. But
relationship.
Your man gained weight like, oh boy. And remember that boxing movie back in the day where dude, like, it was black and white? Remember the black boxer gained the weight and he came back and they was like, you can't box, and he still beat dude up? James gained weight and still had a stellar game, and I can't knock that dude at all for anything. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Look, if you stay, great. If you don't, I'm not even gonna knock you. It is what it is. You can put in the work. You know, it's cool.
That's good. That's good. I mean, one man supporting another. Black and ugly as ever. I stay Houston down to my socks. It's your friend, Avery Like a Very Nice Guy, welcoming you to another installment of In My Humble Opinion podcast, where the opinions are humbled and the words aren't jumbled. Once again, I'm your host, Avery Like a Very Nice Guy, also known as Avery Zadius on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for taking out your time and checking us out. Also joined by our host, Just Devon, ladies and gentlemen, my brother, Just Devon.
That's me. I haven't even been switching the video this whole time. It's been video your face the whole time, but it's cool.
I know it has been. I don't know what you're doing, but
I'm a trash cameraman. Go ahead, continue.
You really are a trash cameraman, but I love you because you're my brother. And you can find him at Dr. Douglas on all socials, and you can also find us at My Humble O on everything, as well as streaming. We're on all DSPs and on the YouTubes. Yay! If you're not familiar with us, we usually have a guest spotlighting everything that's going on in the great city of H-Town, Texas. We have a guest today who is the co-founder of God LVL, with collaborative works with Cyhi the Prince, Jagged Edge, Kanye, Killa Kyleon, Big Krit, George Young, and Dante Higgins, just to name a few. This composer proves that she is no one-trick pony. Her hard work and knowledge of the production landscape has also led her to become a brand ambassador for Native Instruments. From starting with Fruity Loops, like we all did, to becoming the reigning, defending Space City Beat Battle champion, she is currently living her dream. With the release of God Told Me to Drop This by Dante Higgins streaming right now, charity work, ladies and gentlemen, charity work.
How's it going?
It's going. That was pretty good. And you got my name right. Yes.
It's easy. It's phonetic. Charity work, Charity Evaughn, Charity Lewis. Whichever.
I know. I had to change it. It was becoming too much. Like,
what do people
with the spelling?
I'm about to say, what were people doing? How were they messing up your name?
Well, at first, my it wasn't Yeah, it was my Twitter handle and it was my Instagram handle. It was Cherry J Blige, and people was like, "Hey, Miss Blige." I was like, "Okay, that's just my Instagram name." But it was Charity Evaughn at first because Evaughn is my middle name. But then I was like, everybody was spelling that wrong. So then I was like, charity work is easier and it's kind of catchy, you know, because I'm out here actually working, putting in the work. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So charity work.
They were misspelling Evaughn.
Oh, yeah, because I blame my mom.
What's the worst misspelling that they were doing?
Probably it was because it's spelled Evaughn. It was like Evon, and it was actually on a flyer one time like that. Or Evonne.
No,
that's another one. Yeah, it's just like they can't get with the whole silent G.
Shouts out to your parents for naming you, because my name is Devon, which is spelled exactly like your middle name with a D in front of it. And I don't know what it is. If you put VON, everybody's got it. If you put VAUGHN, it's cool. If you put anything in front of that, people try to pronounce that G. Like, they just go into it like, Avagon? Like, why'd you do that? Like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you say, like, Avaga? Evaga. I was like, nah, just say Avon. Just say, so I'm constantly telling people, like, just say D, then Vaughn. Devon. It works. Okay.
Simple. Because my dad's his name is Vaughn. So my mom thought it was creative to do Evon for my middle name.
Okay.
There you have it.
So creativity runs in the family. That's good.
Right.
Given that creativity runs in your family, we like to bring it back to where it all started. How did you begin? How did you begin your musical career?
My musical career, it really started on accident. It was because I won't go back too far. I'll try to make a long story short because it's so many people that's
We got a whole hour. You can
you want me to go?
Yeah, you can make a long story. You can make a long story long on this show. We got a whole hour.
Go ahead.
Okay, because it's so many people that's a part of the journey. It's ridiculous. But of course, growing up, you know, you start off as a fan of music. So my dad and his record collection plays a major part of my childhood because, you know, when you hear certain songs, it's like, oh, that's when we stayed over there on Broadway, or that's how it is for me. Like when I hear certain records, I remember when we stayed in Sunnyside or stayed in Broadway, and it brings back all these different memories. Or when I first learned to ride my bike, my dad had this song on in the garage, and then I ran in the ditch or something. I don't know. He was a bad spotter. So, you know, I was always a fan, and Stevie Wonder was always my favorite artist growing up as well.
Yes, I feel
you. You know, and then when my love for music really started, I would never forget. I was at my grandmother's house, and my uncle was there, and Up Jumps the Boogie came on Rhapsody at the time. I think that was Rhapsody. And and I was just like, what is that sound? I've never heard nothing like that. Of course, you know, nobody really never heard a Timbaland beat at that time. So Up Jumps the Boogie was the life changer for me. And then you got to think about the bad boy era. Diddy is the best marketing person ever in the industry. So he made the industry look so dope. He made everything so big, and the fireworks, the background dances. I was like, I want to be a part of the industry somehow. So I don't know. Again, I started off as a fan first, and then I was in the band in middle school. And when I got in high school, I played basketball for a little bit, and I quit to go back to band because I was like, I want to learn how to arrange this. I want to be around the arrangements.
Okay.
So, so one of my homeboys, Josh, he ended up sending me or giving me Fruity Loops. It was Josh and Tony. I'm name dropping because I don't know. Like I said, there's so many people part of the journey, but they were in the band. We were all in the band. We were band geeks, we were band heads. I was a dancer though. That was the thing. I was like, I'm not playing an instrument because I apparently just got too cool for school. I was like, if anything, if I'm coming back to the band, I'm gonna just dance. That's the closest. I'm not playing no clarinet. I'm done with the clarinet. I'm done with that.
So, and wait, what school is this?
Oh, this is at Sterling.
At Sterling.
High School.
Okay, so it's a Sterling. You back in the band, but you want to get into the arrangement side of stuff.
Yeah, I want to be close to the arrangement because we would watch band tapes like crazy. This is when YouTube first started. Look at me telling my age. But yeah, we would watch the band tapes and the band arrangements and just listen to Southern, TSU, J-State, Bethune-Cookman, or whatever. So I was like, man, I want to put some arrangements together. And he's like, I have this software and you can try. And it so happened to be Fruity Loops at the time. Or people don't call it Fruity Loops no more. FL Studio. So
yeah. now it's super professional. But
right.
Fruity Loops.
It was just Fruity Loops, So I downloaded the software, and you already know how it goes. When you get something new, you're obsessed. You want to figure it out. It didn't come with no instructions because, remind you, like it was on a burnt CD. So
cracked version, like we
right. It was cracked. So
yeah.
I just really sat and learned it. I took the time out to learn it, and it got to the points where I would stay up all night. My mama would be so bothered by it because I'll still be up and she'll be getting ready for work. She's like, you haven't been to sleep yet? And it's like, no, I really want to get this down. So I would sample everything under the sun. Like I was scratching my dad's records because I was like, it got to be a way for me to get the DJ scratch. I see them doing it.
What?
So and it just kind of went from there. But when I got to Prairie View, I really didn't take it serious. And again, I'm still skipping a few things because, oh my gosh, it's just so much when it comes to music. Because I wanted to be in a group. I wanted to start a group, a singing group.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. What made you go for the kind of production where, I'm not going to say behind the scenes, but it's not the forefront. Like you saw music, you didn't want to sing, you didn't want to, like you were just like, yo, I want to lean more towards actual creation of the music.
Yeah, and then like I was never the attention seeker. So I was like, if I be in a group, I just want to be a part of the group. I want to be singing in the background. Let me be the Latavia or the Latoya. I don't want to be, I want to be.
You should probably pick two people that didn't get kicked out the group. Let's go with the Kelly.
Okay, but at least Latoya bounced back.
She did. She bounced back.
She bounced back.
Shout out to Latavia too. I hope everything's all right.
I know, right? Praying for you, sis. But that was my group. Listen, let me tell you, it's a funny story. I hope this air conditioner not too loud, y'all.
No, but, you're good.
I was a Destiny Child fan. I remember when they had the little signing at Sound Waves at the time on Post Oak.
Yep. Yeah.
And we went over there, and I was so excited. And then I finally got up there, and I was mad because I think by the time we got up there, Beyonce was tired. So she just signed my stuff and didn't shake my hand and just passed my. So ever since then, I held this grudge, and then. But Kelly was nice. Everybody else was nice. Kelly was like, oh, you got some pretty eyes. I was like, thank you. And, I was just looking at Beyonce like, really? I waited all this time to talk to you or just to meet you, and you just passed my little CD along. So I had wrote the fan club. And I was mad because I was checking the mailbox every day, and I was asking my mama, like, they didn't write back.
You stand Beyonce?
You wrote a Yelp review?
Wait. You pulled a stand on Beyonce?
No, I was just...
I wrote you, but you still ain't calling.
I wrote my name and my phone number at the bottom. Is that what you did to Beyonce?
No. I just needed answers. No, that was my group. So just think, and TLC. So it was I always wanted to be a part of a group. And then Aaliyah, I was a big fan of these people. So I don't know. It's just like from there, I knew the sound that I wanted to try to accomplish, but I wasn't quite there yet. You know, when you first start, the beats not really, they're not there. They're not there. So and then another production team I was studying was the Hitman, because I used to be like, I would listen to like No Way Out and Life After Death or whatever, and I'd be like, why does this make me feel like this? It's something about it. It sounds cinematic. So I wanted to get into all of that at that time. But when I got to Prairie View, of course, things kind of slowed down a bit. I felt like I was just doing it for fun. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what made me just want to pick it back up. I think that at the time, that's when Kirko was there, and it was me, Kirko, and my best friend. We were all hanging out. And, you know, Kirko, this is when he was still working on Drinking My Cup or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, I'm going to start back doing music. And, like, I'm getting inspired again. So, yeah, I started making beats again. And it was me and my best friend at the time. And I'm trying. It's so many parts. It's so many steps. But Prairie View was just so live at the time, because you had to think about it. We had Kirko, but we had Dero. Dero was there.
Ice Cream.
And that's when Ice Cream. I remember Hump Day. I remember when that first came out. Mm-hmm. Then the Party Boys.
Oh my goodness.
Had a class with them. Yeah. Then we had DJ Merc and it's somebody else. She what's his name? Bone. She's out of home, girl. Not with my shoes back. No, I know. He was at Prairie View. So
what was going on at PV? Because it's a whole lot. There are a few people we've entered. Like even when we talked to George, it was the same thing. He was like, "Yo, everybody was at PV. Like you just looked around. It was like everybody was like." They go into class, but you'd have people that are like, yeah, I might have to go fly somewhere to do this or feel the deal. Or something that's like, yeah, what was going on in PV?
PV, it was just the time, and I don't know what it was about that year. And that's when DJ Mr. Rogers, if he wasn't DJing the party, we wasn't going. But,
is this because there was nothing else to do out there?
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, I just had to take a shot at PV from TSU. But that's cool.
Oh, sorry to hear that. But
I didn't feel bad until I was cool with our rivalry until somebody decided to put our homecomings on the same day, and that ruined TSU's thing. I was like, "Dog, what are we doing?"
So, yeah, I didn't like that. I think that was weird. And then didn't they do Southerns the same weekend too, or something?
Yeah, it was really odd. You really got to see where everybody wanted to go, and it wasn't ours. So I was like, oh man, that's messed up. But that's cool. That's cool. So you're at PV. You got you're inspired now by all these people that are like working and doing stuff. So you say, I'm gonna pick up. Is Fruity Loops still Fruity Loops, or is it FL Studios now?
It was to me. It's still Fruity Loops. That's just what
you're like. I'm picking up the Fruity Loops and I'm getting back at it.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, I wasn't making that music though. That's crazy. I was inspired by it, but I still wanted to make what I wanted to make. I still wanted to sample. I wanted to sample everything under the sun. I really wasn't into the whole party of, I feel like that was Dallas. So I'm like, Dallas got their sound, because that's when it was the whole snap music era when you think about it. So yeah, I still wanted to create. I wanted to make like what Kirko was getting on, like Drinking My Cup. And that's when I first, when I went back home, I think that was a summer break. I went home and I was watching, it was something random on BT, but the Red Bull Big Tune beat battle came on randomly. I didn't even know there was a such thing as a beat battle. And I saw Pyro and Ryu on it, Sound Mob.
Yep, Sound Mob.
And I was like, holy crap. Somebody from Houston is on here, and they was killing it too. And it was a female producer as well. So I was like, wow, it's a beat battle? I didn't know they were doing beat battles. So I started looking stuff up, because I already knew a Space City beat battle, but I was just like, I'm not gonna do that. I never saw myself doing it at first. But then when I saw the Red Bull Big Tune, I was like, wow, they could really, you can win money. You can work with all these artists. I think one of the artists who won when I was watching it at the time, it was an artist named, not an artist, a producer named Cyhi from Chicago. And he won, but he got the chance to work with Nas. And the song he did with Nas is called Film. It never landed on anything, but the song was so dope. I said, man, that's what I'm talking about. I want to make music like that. I want to be a part of stuff like that. Okay. But so when I graduated from Prairie View, my whole thing was like, especially with my mom, because she was like, music, no, ma'am.
Why not?
No, ma'am.
Why didn't she think that?
Because my mom was like, for one, she was like, I paid for you to go to college to get a good job, and you need to stay focused, and then music, maybe you can do that as a hobby. And I was just like, okay. She's like, you need stability, all this extra stuff, the normal parent stuff,
What was your degree in?
It was criminal justice.
Oh, okay. So she's like, you're going to use this criminal justice degree.
Yeah, and I used it, but then I ended up quitting and doing music.
What did you do?
I was a parole officer.
Okay, you was definitely using the criminal justice degree. Okay.
Listen, I was like, listen, this gonna it's gonna fund my little music dream. Then I ended up meeting people on my caseload. It was funny. It was crazy. It was like, you becoming too cool with them. I was like, but they cool, A few of them rapped, and
I was about to say, did you produce any of your?
No, I had to, and it was funny because this is when Grooves is really popping, and I saw one of my people on the caseload at Grooves. I made that quick left, and I was just like, I don't see him with this drink in his hand. I don't see him. I don't see him.
Man.
I'm gonna let him make it. So, yeah, I met a lot of dope people. They just, got jammed up, got in some messed up situations. Yeah. And I tried to really, how I was coaching myself every day, I was trying to coach them like, hey, what is it that you really want to do? Put time into that, and get rid of all the extra BS, because, the streets, that stuff, it's a real thing. So it's funny when I hear all these artists and all these people want to talk about the hood and the streets. I'm like, majority of these people trying to get out. It's not a game. It's not for show. They really want to get out, but it's a real thing. But when after that, when I graduated, I was just like, all right, Charity, I'm making these beats, and they're just sitting here. I was like, this gonna be my ultimatum to myself. Now, I'm going to get in this Space City beat battle. If I win, I'm going to keep going. But, if I don't win, I'm just going to try to get into oil and gas, because I was over parole. I only worked parole for 3 years. And I was just like, I don't want to be a part of that no more. And I was like, I'm going to try to get into oil and gas next. And I did the Space City beat battle, and I ended up coming in second place. And that's when, Space City, and I was like, okay. And then after that, it was another showcase called iStandard showcase, producer showcase. And I did that one, and I came in second place in that one. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not trash. So let me keep going.
Yeah.
And then you still came back to the Space City beat battle again, right?
Yeah, because like when you place, they was like, okay, we're going to invite you to the next one, and then you will make it to the finals or the championship or whatever, the championship round. So I was like, okay. So I came back, and then I still came in second again, and it was to my homeboy, Nate Coop. Well, he was going by Nate Coop at the time, and now he goes by OK Coop. And he got first, and he came from Austin. I was like, who is this? I got my little confidence up. I was like, who is this coming into my city? Coming into my city like I own my city, and
Yeah.
So then we made it to the championship, and what's crazy is the whole time I wasn't even thinking about nobody else. I was so worried about Nate. I was like, I have to beat him, because he came in slapping, like his stuff was hitting. I was like, I'm focused on Nate. I'm like, I was just that confident that I was just gonna beat out everybody else and make it to the round with Nate. I knew it was gonna be me and Nate. I just knew it. So by this time I was still doing the iStandard showcase, and then when you get second, I think first or second in the iStandard showcase, you get invited to New York to compete with everybody. It's called the Beats to the Beats. So I was already getting cool with the I Standard people, and my guy Sis, he's like, hey, why don't you add live instrumentation to your production? It'll really enhance your sound, because I hear what you're trying to do, but the sounds that you're using, they're stiff. Get somebody to play stuff live. And I was like, ooh, this would be good to beat Nate in this Space City beat battles.
Smart, yeah.
So sure enough, I got my homeboy Dominique, who's doing great now. He's on the West Coast working with Jay Stone from All Money In and all kind of other people now, but he played the bass and he sent it over. Man, the beat was slapping. Oh, I was like, I've never heard my production like this. Finally. So yeah, the championship round came and I end up beating Nate. Like I end up beating Nate. And Cardiac was judging. I think is that when I met N.O. Joe?
Damn.
I want to say yeah. They had some really good judges. They had some good judges, and I forgot the other guy named Ryan, somebody. I forgot. That's sad, I don't remember. But yeah, they had some pretty dope judges or whatever. And I end up winning, and me and Nate became real cool. And I told Nate, I was like, hey, you should do the I Standard beat battle too. He's like, yeah, I'll think about it. But again, I'm going through my journey. So once I showed my mom, I'm like, listen, I'm placing, I'm actually doing good. And it was the whole time like I was winning or making it to the next round. I was texting my mom and she was like, oh my God, what? You know, she really didn't support me until she saw that I was winning. That's when it changed.
You proved yourself.
I proved myself. And so she went to New York with me to go compete in Beast of the Beats.
That is so sweet.
So yeah, it was, man, Beast of the Beast was wild, but that's when I was like, okay, I'm not doing nothing. I didn't make it past the second round. It was so many producers and the judges were like, this is how I got to meet like the Binks, Focus, Justice League,
oh God,
Just Blake, all of them. Like our standard was killing it at the time. So yeah, we went to New York and I didn't make it to no finals, but the thing was, while I was out there, I networked.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning. That's when I was like, okay, I can really do this. So yeah, that was the beginning of the professional. That's when I started taking it serious.
Taking it serious. That's positive. When you started taking it serious and getting live instrumentation on your beats, what program were you? Were you still using Fruity Loops at that time?
Okay, so let me tell you my journey with the DAWs. Okay, Fruity Loops. I started with Fruity Loops, but then I convinced my mom to make my production sound better. I needed an MPC. But when we looked at the price, she was like, hell no. And I was like, okay, we're going to figure out something else. So then I convinced her that I needed a Mac to make my production sound better. So she got me a MacBook, or an iMac at the time.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, that's a good step. Because I was still a clicker at the time. I wasn't using no.
You didn't have a MIDI?
I didn't even have a MIDI at the time.
No controllers. Okay.
So, and this is me rewinding before the beat battles. And then I did Logic. Okay. I got Logic. I convinced her. Yeah. So then that's when I got the MIDI. And I got my MIDI keyboard. It's so funny because I convinced my mom, she's so sweet. I said, we got to go find this MIDI keyboard. It was at Best Buy. I got me a little MIDI keyboard at Best Buy. And I was like, okay, it's starting to sound a little bit better. Then when Good Kid, Mad City came out, I saw a video when they were making Shireen.
Master Splinter. Yeah.
And then that's when they were using Machine. So I said, I need a machine. I can't afford an MPC. I had got an MPD. It was so trash. I had got an MPD. Wasn't the same.
How were you able to control? But hey, it is.
I didn't control anything. No, it collected dust. It was.
You made
it
your
wasn't.
Way through.
Hey, listen. It just sat there, and it was like this. I thought the MPD was close to the MPC, but not even close.
Indeed, no, not together. But continuing where we were at before, you said you were in New York and what you did was network. Can you speak on the importance of networking?
It's how you're gonna continue to elevate in this music industry, networking in your relationships. You know, like it's really. I used to think it was corny. I used to get tired of hearing your network is your network,
Yeah.
but it's a fact. It's a fact. So my thing was, I kept in touch with certain people, even if it wasn't just with the judges. It was my peers around me, because when I think about it, the people that were in the Beast of the Beats are doing really well. Like, it's a kid named Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys heard of Medicine, but he's from Dallas. He was 16 at the time, and he was killing it. Now he does the festivals and stuff now, and he made a project with Masego. This was before Masego was even popping.
Really?
So yeah, him, this other kid named Tane Runo from Atlanta, his beats are just on another planet. He did Nicki Minaj, Yikes.
Yeah. That's a fire beat.
Yeah, so, Sick With It from Dallas. Dallas got some, listen.
Yes.
Lone Star Beats. Lone Star was just on Eminem's new album. So I'm like, it was just networking really with my peers. It's like you really never know. And just and building relationships. And it don't necessarily always have to be about music. And I think that's another thing they got me into certain rooms, is because it's like I would just genuinely check up on people. Like, no, how are you doing? You know, it's this, I'm not even calling to ask you for nothing, not for a shout out, a collab, none of that. Just literally, like, just seriously, how are you doing? And it would just go from there, and just keeping in touch and always keeping my line open as well. So yeah, that networking is crucial. That's number one, you know.
Now, was networking, because I mean, you've talked about other people and your peers and the placements they got. You and Nate actually end up getting a placement with, it was Cyhi, correct?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, like, how did that come about?
How did that come about?
Okay, so yeah, good. This is going good. I'm gonna pick up where I left off then, because after the Space City Beat Battle, we were like, oh, and I had experienced Beast of the Beats. And remind you, this, I switched dolls up. I switched to Machine. I got Machine, and Nate was using Ableton. But after the Space City Beat Battle, we figured out a way to collab. Like, even though we had two different dolls, we collabed. And the first beat that we collabed on, it was like, oh, wow, this is fire. This is fire. So Sis from Our Standard had the genius idea and was like, hey, you know, the next Beast of the Beats coming up. And I already told Nate how it was. I say, listen, these people, how I experienced it in New York, they're not about to play with us. So we have to come with it, you know. And we were going to do it separately, but Sis was like, hey, why don't y'all do it together? And I was like, oh, will that cut the cost? We can like split the cost, because it was kind of, I don't want to say it was expensive, but it was worth it. But it was like, if me and Nate come together, can we put our money together and enter? And he was like, yes. We was like, cool. So yeah, me and Nate, we had maybe like 2 months to kind of gel as much as we could, to try to get ready for the Beast of the Beats in Atlanta. And we made it to Atlanta, and the Beast of the Beats happened, and we actually won. So we got first place. So that opened the opportunity, that opened the door. That's when I met Bink. Bink. I was so excited. And Bink wanted to sign us at the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Bink wanted to sign me and Nate, but me and Nate was like, well, we was just doing this for just to win the beat battle. We don't know if we wanted to. We still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, but it's funny, like looking back on it, like, wow, Bink, you know, Bink wanted to sign us. And that's when we met Mark Berg, because he was one of the judges as well. And then Mark, after that, he was like, hey, y'all are dope. I'm working on Cyhi. I got to get y'all on this album. I don't care what I got to do. Y'all getting on this album. And I was like, man, Cyhi? He's like, listen, y'all are getting on this album. And then, yeah, Mark really stood by what he said. He kept his word. And then it was like two years later, we made it on the Cyhi album.
Yep,
No Dope on Sundays. And it was a process.
It had to be a process. Y'all had Jagged Edge on the song Don't Know Why. That was that. Yeah. I always liked that song. I'm glad that I get to sit here and speak to you for the simple fact that you took the sample from Earl Clue, and it's the. Of course, I'm a big Tupac fan, so of course the Tupac Pain. That's naturally, yeah. What was going through your head making even that beat?
See, again, it was a process. So
Okay.
the story behind that is crazy. Not even the process of how I work. It's more so how Cyhi work. You got to think about it. Cyhi has been under Kanye for a minute, so Cyhi was working like Kanye was working. You know, so what's crazy is we had at first we had like 3 records. It was supposed to be we added to Amen the first after, is that the first beat? The first track.
That's the first track. Amen.
We added to that. Then it was like, nah, we're gonna add somebody a little bit more popular than y'all. That's it. It was turning into that, I feel like. And then we had the murder beat. Wait, I keep calling it by the names that it was called. The one, dang, is Estelle and Tucci. But anyway, we had 3 records at first, and then it kept going down and down and down. Then it was no records. It's like, dang, and Mark was like, listen, that's how they work. Like, it's gonna be maybe like 5 people on this one track. Just try to stand out, and then, you know, he'll see who he want to keep. It's exactly how Kanye worked. Like, Kanye add a whole bunch of people to the record. Yeah. It's like depending on what they're good at. Like, if he, like, for instance, he know Knots is crazy with the bass line, he'll just bring Knots in, do the bass line on this. He's like, oh, well, I know Metro is crazy with the drums, I'm gonna bring Metro in. Oh wait, I know Southside's good with the hi-hats. Yeah. It's like, it's a process working with them. And then you just never know what's gonna make it and what's not gonna make it. So Screw, I shout out to Screw. He saved us on this one, because all I had to do, I screwed the end. It's like the end of the song where it's the screw part. I screwed that, and that's what made Cyhi want to keep our parts. He was like, "That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. You from Houston too? Oh, that's a lot." So that's how we end up keeping the part on Don't Know Why. But the issue was, and this, mind you, like, this was maybe like a month or 2 before the album dropped. Dang. And then maybe like a week. Sorry, I'm at the studio right now. It's
all good. No problem.
So a week before the album dropped, they said, Don't Know Why couldn't get cleared.
Oh, come on.
So, a week before. So we was like, God, we've been doing this back and forth stuff for maybe a year. Like, Jesus Christ, this process, I'm telling you, they work the way they work. Cyhi work like Kanye work. They're very particular, and it's super genius. But at the same time, when you're in the when you're the producer that might get cut, it's not as fun.
Yeah.
You know, it was nerve-wracking. So so that was a week before, and they was like, we couldn't get the sample cleared. So it was like, well, didn't make it on the album, you know. Then 2 days before the album dropped, it got cleared. We were back on.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
2 days before. So that's how that happened. And that's me making a long story short again.
That's all right.
Now, I mean, you work with Cyhi, but you have also, I mean, when we had talked, we were talking about Dante's album. Dante was one of the first guests on this show. He was talking about you back then. Everybody go back to episode 1.
Yep.
We were horrible. Dante was great. You know what I mean? But he was talking about you back then. But even recently, we had George Young on the show. I know you were just on working with Rob Gullatte, you know, that kind of thing. So what makes you decide some of these artists around Houston? I feel like it's like a particular set of artists that you just kind of like working with, but what makes you decide, hey, what artists you want to work with, the kind of music you want to do with these artists? How do these decisions get made? What's going through your mind when you're making them?
Well, what's crazy is I met George while at PV, and that's when because it was him, DJ Merc, and I think and Dero and all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that's how I met George. And then when he sent me the link to his music, I was like, oh, he's actually like, I've never heard nobody, you know, sound like this out of Houston, because I'm still thinking, you know, coming down, which is cool. I like to come down. I'm South Side, you know? But it was just different at the time. So I was just like, wow, and he can really rap. So he was like, shoot, come to the studio. Went to the studio, and I wasn't like super great at production at the time. And George helped me sharpen my production skills. Like I would go over there every weekend and every day if I could, and I would work on something and go back to George's studio and be like, hey, what about this? And he's like, not that. You need to kind of work on your drums. I go back home, work on my drums, come back. What about now? So my goal at that time, I was really like, I want to make it on a George Young project. And I made it on the next one, but it took a while because, you know, George he's very particular.
He's definitely. But you know what?
And,
even on our interview, I said it's funny that the way you're describing it, because he described it the same way with you. He was like, I would work on a part, and then, you know, like for this album, like Charity would come in and be like, nah, let's do this. And he was like, it would get done, and I'd be like, oh, that's a lot better. Like, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like a full circle thing.
Yeah, because I feel like this go round, it's just a whole different Charity. Like I've traveled, I've been in certain rooms. So it's like, okay, George needs to get out of his comfort zone. So that's my thing with George. I push George to where we go back and forth sometimes. And so yeah, that was my thing. But the first time when I finally made on his project was City Under Siege, and that was my first time I felt like I pushed him out of his comfort zone. So City Under Siege was our first time producing together, and I made it on the project. It was the first track on Vintage.
Yeah.
So the history with me and George go back to that, and then we found out we were cousins. So it was like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
And so and George, then Rob, it's funny, Rob Gullatte always been dope. I first heard Rob Gullatte through George on his project, I think on Vintage. I forgot what they think. Was he on Creative? Gotta Get Creative. I think he was on that song. And I was just like, it's something about Rob. He got that conviction. Like Rob been through something. Yeah. You know, it's that voice. Yeah. It's like I like that. And so when I moved back to Houston from Atlanta, I already knew, like, I reached out to Rob, and he actually hit me back, because some people I don't know, but that's all you know. And I was like, let's go to the studio. And we actually went to the studio, and it was I don't know, we jailed. It was cool. So I just like conviction. And who else? Who was the other person you said? Oh, Dante.
I mean, Dante's the new project that y'all have that just came out. So describe deciding to do it, because Dante's been talking about you for, like I said, over a year. And so describe putting that project together, and, you know, just tell us about that one.
Okay, sorry y'all, that it's music equipment going in and out. It was a lot. But so, and again, I always have to go back, and this is another reason why I decided to come back home, because this is really, really, really where it started, where people really gave me opportunities. And Dante, when I first met Dante, I just started winning the Space City beat battles. And this is when Dante was doing his own little concerts and everything. And I was like, I'm gonna just say something to him and tell him I make beats. And I told him, and he was like, no, you don't. And I was like, no, I do. I make beats. And I was like, I would love to work with you. You know, it's just me throwing myself out there. And he's like, I'm gonna come to the whatever beat battle you're talking about. I ain't never seen a girl do no beats. I don't believe that. So I didn't think he was really coming. He really came to the Space City beat battle to see me. And then afterwards, he was like, I see what you're trying to do. Come to the studio with me. And this is when rest in peace, Magic's. We went to Magic's studio, And he was like, I see what you're trying to do. We're going to do a whole project together. I thought he was like BSing, like, and sure enough, we did Kingpin together. And I was so nervous because that was the very beginning of me starting to take it serious, you know? So after we did Kingpin, I didn't dislike Kingpin, but I knew, I was like, I know it can be better. But when I moved to Atlanta and he came out and he met Mark, that's when, because me and Mark teamed up after the whole Cyhi thing, because we kept making music after that. So he came down and it just, in a week, we was like, we got an album. But it wasn't this one. It's a whole nother, it's so much music we made with Dante. Oh, and he's like, wow, I hear the growth. Like, you a whole, I don't know what Atlanta did to you. I was like, it's not Atlanta, it's just really me being a student and being a fan of music and soaking in. Every time I'm going into a room, I don't have to be the center of attention. Again, I'm soaking it all in. So when I moved back here, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy because Dante is going to be, I'm putting all my focus on Dante. And then Mark was like, I'm moving down there too then. And he really moved here. Oh, wow. Yeah, he moved down here and we was like, we're about to just go full force with it. And in a week, we made that project. God told me to drop this in a week. Oh, and that's not like, that's just 5 songs. And we have many, many, many more. So we was like, we're just going to drop the first 5. And working with Dante is just easy. It's easy.
Yeah, because it always feels like it's just on his mind, like it's there, it's ready. So that's why I say, even when we're talking about, like, I feel like he seems surprised when people are like buying all this stuff. I mean, people, when he drops, when I saw him at the freestyle battle, that went viral. When he was on 97.9, that went viral. When he filmed that little short with Corey Terry, in the little, I thought, like, that went viral. Like, people really look, and it's like he just has this music like ready to go, or at least these words ready to go. So it's great that, he's got somebody that can provide that soundscape for him. What made you decide to come back to Houston?
Really, when we were traveling and when I met Dr. Dre, and which was nuts, by the way, just still saying it, give me goosebumps. Like, I met Dr. Dre.
Okay, but, wait, stop right there. Let's talk about meeting Dr. Dre. Let's talk about meeting Dr. Dre first, and then we're gonna say that'll lead into what brought you back to Houston. So you meet Dr. Dre, and you're a producer, so I know you've got a feeling about Dre. So tell us about that.
It was just, again, relationships and Focus. I call him Unc. So remind you, I was fangirling out when I first met Focus, but I met him through doing the iStandard producer showcases, and he was a judge. And after, I think I ended up placing again in one of the showcases. And but the thing with the iStandard showcase, it wasn't necessarily a battle. It was like, can you make records?
Okay.
So when I was doing that, I met Focus, and I was just shocked. I flew to Cali to do the showcase. I was like, man, I'm just gonna go for it. I flew to Chicago and did the showcase. I flew to Atlanta and did it. I flew to Cali. we went to Virginia. It didn't matter. I was just like, I want to meet certain people. And Focus so happened to be one of them that came here to Houston, though. And I kept that relationship and just checking on them. Like, because me and Focus, I've never, worked with Focus on music, but it was just like when we did see each other, it's like we've been on each other for years. So me and Mark flew to Cali. Well, really, Mark flew there first because he would go out there often. And he would be with Focus. And of course, Focus is still Aftermath. Mm-hmm. So Mark met Dr. Dre first. Like, he texted me, he sent me the picture. And I was just like, what? Whoa. How did you meet Dr. Dre? I was like, dang, I wish I could have, I missed it. And he was like, nah, next time I come out or next time we go out there, you're going to meet him. Trust me. And sure enough, we went out there. and we always got to stop and see Focus. Because Focus was staying in Atlanta, but then he moved back to LA to work on Compton at the time. So he was already out there. And then we went and met up with Focus, and then next thing you know, Focus is like, yeah, we about to go to Record One and blah blah. I said, excuse me? Like, we going to Record One? And so after he said that, my stomach started hurting, my head started hurting, because I was just like, what am I gonna do? I'm about to, because Mark was really coaching me. He was like, just be ready. Have your records ready, because he's gonna ask you to play something. And they was like, he kicked people out. He kicked people out the stage.
He said like Martin.
So Dr. will ask you to play your record. If he don't like it, he'll be like, yeah, just leave.
Like, it's not it.
Okay.
So,
you gotta be ready to go.
You gotta be ready to go. And honestly, like meeting him, it was the most humbling experience, because he's so cool. It was nothing like, I don't know, when you think of certain people, it's like, what are you gonna say when you meet Quincy Jones? And Dr. Dre, it's like Quincy Jones, Dr. Dre.
I feel that.
So I was like, what the hell? But James Harden saved me that night, because that was the night he did that nasty step back three and dude fell, and he waited for old boy to get up, and that's when he hit that three.
Yeah.
And that's the Rockets was actually doing good. And that's when who was that? The Warriors was doing good too. So Dr. Dre was like, anybody want to bet Houston and the Warriors? Of course the rest of the room got quiet. And I was like, oh, relationships, this my moment. This my moment.
Yep.
I was like, I bet, so he was like, you bet? I said, yes. Boys started cracking. Because I'm like, it's the Rockets we talking about. So I was like, Lord, what am I about to bet a billionaire in Dr. Dre? And he was like, okay, bet 5. I was like, okay, 500? Wait a minute now. I was like, okay, it's like, that's 5? I was like, But then, after that, the conversation started. And he was just really cool. And we just started talking about sports and sneakers. Like, I would chime in on, certain conversations. And then, of course, that's when we went to the studio, and I played him my beats that me and Nate did, because me and Nate was still making music at the time. Mm-hmm. And he was actually, he actually turned around, because usually, it's funny. It's how you would see it on the documentary. He's facing the SSL board, and he's, bobbing his head. But if he's not feeling something, it's just no reaction. It's no movement, no nothing. But I was blessed, because when I played something, he actually turned around and was like, you made this?
Blessed, you were prepared. You were skilled. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mark Bird, he saved me. He saved me.
A combination of Mark Bird, James Harden, the Rockets, Golden State, all that stuff coming together.
$500.
All of that. $500 that I didn't have. I'm glad.
Who won the bet?
You saw who won.
Why you doing that? Why are you doing that, Divine?
Well, I gave James Harden his flowers, but I got to take him right back. Go ahead.
Listen, Chris Paul hamstring lost it for us.
Yeah.
The hamstring took us out.
We were so close, though.
Damn, he was working on Compton.
So close.
Yeah, this was after, this was after Compton. I wasn't there for the Compton days.
Okay.
I wish. But his process is crazy, meeting him and just seeing he still has a passion and love for music like he just started.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts. Like, it's amazing to see. And the advice that he gave me and Mark, he was just like, the greatest thing that he's done is broken artists. It's him and Snoop, and then of course it was Eminem later on. But he was like, that's the thing, right? So he's like, that's the thing that you have to do. And so we was like, you know what? All this placement chasing and all this extra stuff, it's not even important. Let's create our own wave, because these people already have their circles, and the people they have their team. So we up there trying to penetrate the circle. It's hard,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, let's just create our own wave. And then when I introduced Dante to Mark, I was like, Mark, your sound is already amazing. You work with Kanye, you work with Twista and all these other great people, but your sound is big, is what I think. I want to hear Dante on something big, because his lyrics was always bigger to me than his music, if that made sense.
Yeah.
And I felt like with Kingpin, I really didn't deliver how I wanted to. So Mark, it was just a blessing when he came into the picture, because I was like, yes, meet Dante. And as soon as they met, they clicked like that. And yeah, so that's why I was like, after that, you know, I wasn't even in Atlanta long. I was in Atlanta for 2 years. But after I set my mind on like, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to try to break an artist, and why not do it with my brother? I want to go back to Houston. And then I'm like, Houston is my city. A lot of people talk about it, but I feel like Houston, we're like the kids that never been out the hood. We got to see some more. We keep blaming each other, but it's like, okay, but the library right there. You got so that's how I feel. It's like, y'all want it, but the internet is right here. You have the resource. You just got to know how to use it. You can't be lazy. You got to put in the legwork. So I said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to put in the legwork. I'm going to work with the people that want to work with me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I came back home to Houston.
Well, that's fantastic. I think it's that mentality. And like I said, we try to have people on the show. We just had Derek McKinney. He was kind of saying the same thing. Seeing you work on full projects like George's, seeing you on Gullatte, like these are artists that you guys are definitely working. I'm not saying everybody's working together, but as collectively, you're starting to see something forming. So I mean, that's always good to see. So shout out to you guys. And
Thank you.
I'm glad you had a fruitful meeting with Dr. Dre. That was good. That was good. So what you already said, you've got a whole bunch of Dante music. Like, so that we know. So what can we expect to see coming from you and Dante, and just coming from you in general in terms of anything else that you're working on?
Man, I'm trying to focus on being a producer versus a beat maker. And when I'm in a room, I have way more confidence now, because you got to think about that was just 2014 when I actually started taking it serious. And, you know, it just takes experience and growth to fully get your confidence all the way up to actually to be able to control a room as a producer. So I feel like now I finally have that confidence, and I just know what I want to hear, and I know how to take people out of their comfort zone. So right now, my main thing is just like, I want to continue to produce, and collaboration is key too. And that's another thing, like, I think why it's coming full circle, because it's like, I don't care what you did or who know you, who don't know you. If you're dope, you're dope. You know, if you're dope, you're dope. And that's why I love Dante. Dante is coachable, and he trusts me, and I trust him. It's like a marriage, you know, it's like a marriage. So I just want to continue to build my legacy as far as a producer. I want to be known as a producer, and I don't get in my feelings that I don't get mentioned out here. Not at all. Like, some people still don't even know who I am, and I don't really care. It's just like, oh, as long as the music is great, everything's turning out dope. I just want more ears on what we're doing. So that's like my main goal. I don't even know if I went off topic, but that was just, I had to get that part out because
No.
You're right on topic.
You were definitely on topic. And the truth is, producers, just for the nature of hip hop, don't get as much shine just in general as I feel like they should. We were talking to a producer the other day, Pug Tunes, where he was like, producers should get their name on an album, just like this should say, you know, when you're talking about, you have to be extremely huge to get mentioned. So people know, like Dr. Dre and Snoop. But when the album drops, there are certain albums where it should say like the rapper's name and the producer's name. Like, they should just have it on every song, because the producer made the music. And in a lot of these cases, the producer did a whole lot, like a whole lot. Like, you can't even say it's always a 50-50 split. Sometimes it's like a 75-25 or 20, where it's like, yo, I'm still in here producing. Like, the rapper left, they partying, they having fun. Like, we're putting stuff together. So when we've heard stories about, particularly talking to George about the work that you're doing, you know, just trying to make sure you get your flowers. Also, did you sing on George's album?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he was telling me that too.
I did. It's funny. It's this little app I use, and I thought it was pretty cool. And you know, when funk is involved, I just always hear a vocoder voice on stuff. So I love adding that to, you know, I like to make that as an instrument, because you can't really hear me singing. It's just some little harmonies, but you know, it fits perfectly like on the song Company, you know, the little background vocals. Yeah, that's me, but I feel like it adds texture to the record.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Well, let our audience know, like, we appreciate you coming out, but like, let our audience know where they can find you. Let the city know, especially rappers that need work, that have the money and are ready to pay. Like, let them know, hey, this is how you can link up with me. And the coachable rappers, you know what I'm saying? The coachable ones. The ones that when you have put in all your work and somebody comes in and goes, I don't like that, let's try this, you don't go, oh, well, God, I don't care. Like, coachable
I know
rappers,
what I sound like.
let them know where they can find you.
Instagram, Twitter is and it's Charity Work, ITS Charity Work, not with an S, not Charity Works. That's what it. We're not saying Kroger's, Sonics. Don't put an S on Charity Work.
I feel attacked.
You say Kroger's. I know you do.
I still think every time somebody says it's Kroger, it doesn't have an S, I always go look, because I'm like, are y'all sure?
Yeah.
Like, are y'all sure? I feel like they
say Joe Buttons, even though I know it's Button.
But it's Charity Work on all platforms?
Yep.
Okay. Any studios you're working out of that you want people to know, or like they just reach out to you? How do you prefer to be connected with?
Yeah.
Listen, if you're ready to work and ready to make good music, that's what I'm about. I don't have an ego. Y'all see I'm friendly. That's just not me. But when you come here, just be ready to work. Just be ready to rap or sing or whatever that you do. But again, it's just like everything is organic with me. So, you know, if you can reach out on Instagram or Twitter, whatever, in the studio we work out of, we call it the Throne Room. So yeah, it's me, Dante, and Mark's studio. This is our studio, and we're ready to work. That's why we came back. So,
really on that guy
just reach out. God level. Yep, that's the brand.
All right.
All right. Once again, man, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and paying attention. We really want to thank Charity for coming out and explaining everything from her journey and everywhere. And we want to remind you guys that if you want to be a part of the Humble Hive, you got to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, I just came up with that one. That was a good one. With that being said, this is another, shut up, Devon. This is another In My Humble Opinion podcast. What's that? What'd you say?
That was good. I was like, the Humble Hive, you got to like and subscribe. I like that.
This is another In My Humble Opinion podcast. That has been your host with us, Just Devon, ladies and gentlemen. Just Devon. And I have been Avery, like a very nice guy. In my humble opinion, humbly yours, and we're out. Goodbye.